Though the following story is fictional, the past 8 years of dictatorship has been a very non-fictional time in American history. Thanks to Barack Hussein Obama, it isn't over yet. It may very well be only the beginning and could happen very soon somewhere else, someplace else, and sooner than you think. News flash. California secedes from the Union. News reports are coming in that California has seceded from the United States, becoming its own republic. According to federal authorities in Sacramento, rumors are circulating that former President Barack Hussein Obama has moved to California for just such an opportunity to become this new republic's dictator. It's no joke, California has been saying for the past 10 years that it wished to secede from the Union. While President, Barack Hussein Obama pushed for legal narcotics, forced homosexuality reforms, and other non-American agendas. It was that very philosophy that California wanted to implement for their entire state, though the United States government had some safeguards still in place which halted their intentions for fruition. The peoples of California totally adhered to his ideals and decided that since America would not allow Obama to continue beyond his 2-term limit as president, they would secede from the Union shortly after Obama's last day as president and then become a rogue republic. It isn't clear at this point what the United States government will do now that California is no longer a part of the United States. So far, we have not received any statements from Barack Hussein Obama's official spokesman, Meg Kelly, a former reporter for Fox News and recently hired with NBC News. We hope to hear of the implications of this announcement soon. All we've heard is that he is very eager to initiate his plans for the republic as soon as possible. Once the republic can be secured from U.S. forces still within the former state, it will all start happening very quickly. Some are saying that many military personnel at U.S. bases there are deserting their posts, hoping to help Obama continue his euthanasia philosophies he brainwashed on the American public from its inception. 2008 was only the start until the very last day he served as president in 2017. What a wonderful day that was, seeing the helicopter take off from the Capitol building. Who would have thought this tyrant would take his revenge to new heights and in a state that was so perverted already? To say California was a melting pot state is an understatement. The recklessness of its peoples became so unpredictable, with Hollywood's constant distortion of movie making and the state permitting such influx of illegal immigrants across its borders that the whole state's infrastructure eventually will fail. It was inevitable that they would get too big for their britches, so to speak. California was annexed into the United States in 1850 and was originally a part of Mexico until about 1846, when it was conquered by American forces in the Mexican War, which lasted until 1848. The territory flourished as the result of gold deposits that were found there in 1849 by James Marshall. In 1849, the country of Mexico surrendered California to the United States under the Treaty of Guadalupe-Hidalgo. Even then, the region began showing signs of diversive change with many seeking wealth and prosperity coming to the state. Chinese slaves were the first known peoples who were brought to America for the specific purpose of building the Trans-American Railroad which Abraham Lincoln pushed forward in the 1860s. During Obama's 8 years as president, California began showing their discontent attitudes about America's history as a slave trade nation and a racial overtone against the country as a whole began being heard all the time by its leaders and communities. This continual hatred culminated with this stunning announcement today. It has never happened before in American history. Many in Washington have set off record that with the dangers of earthquakes in California and the dangers it poses to the region, the government of the United States has no wish to stop their intentions of seceding from the Union. Washington has said categorically, "You are on your own. Your dictator will handle any future needs you might have," that according to President Donald J. Trump. California has a massive population of illegal immigrants and a large area of the state has known areas of Muslim communities. Beyond this is the fact that the homosexual movement that has been seen all over the country is still very prominent in the former state of California. With this kind of cesspool of humanity, the government of the United States feels that it is the best decision they could make, letting California secede from the Union. Just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. We are hearing that Chancellor Barack Hussein Obama, his new title apparently, is planning an upcoming news conference shortly to explain his involvement with this historical, if not hysterical, decision of secession from the Union. They're saying it will happen within the next few minutes. We'll break in whenever we hear of the statement beginning. Because of the White House's decision regarding California, all armed forces within the former state are being evacuated. Police, fire, and emergency services will continue but under their new chancellor's regime, which is presently being initiated. According to government agencies in the former state, they are saying that Barack Hussein Obama's ties to Cuba, and Raul Castro's communistic regime will play a very real part in this change taking place in California. It will very likely be the next new Cuba, since Obama himself was and always will be a communistic socialist. Why else would he have made it a mandate that the United States have relations to Castro when every president since John F. Kennedy had said that sanctions would continue because they never reverted from communism? Boy, were we stupid not to see this coming. Oh, I'm hearing that Chancellor Obama is about to begin. Let's jump right over to his network feed, which apparently he had already been setting up when he was still our president. Duh. According to a direct quote by President Trump, it is a state well rid of. Now His Greatness, Chancellor Barack Hussein Obama.
Are we on? Okay. Look, I don't want this to go out all over the once great nation of America, but they say it's going to be aired anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and start my speech. I've been trying to set this whole thing up so California would be separate and individual, but I'm really proud to say that this is really the most proudest moment of my life, even more than the time that I spent as the President of the United States. A lot of you said it during the 8 years that I was your Messiah. Well, I'm here to tell you, California at least is going to get the Messiah that everybody wanted, because now I'm your Chancellor. And I have to tip my hat to all of you here in California who have given me this right to control your lives, because you're going to all be so much happier. I know it's going to be hard. All of us are going to have to really work hard to create a infrastructure as our own nation. But with me in charge, it's not going to be hard to do that. I promise you. Now, it's been leaked already through the U.S. government. Somehow they got the facts that, yes, we're going to have ties with Raul Castro. That's one reason I went down there so much. Me and Raul figured if there's any way that I can create my own little regime within the United States, that I would. And it's come to fruition, hasn't it? And I have no intention to try and deceive anybody here in my new realm, my new republic, my new dictatorship. I'm just plain out telling you this is who I am, this is what I am. And I promise all of you, we're not only going to succeed, we're going to take back what really I intended to take in the first place. And that's not only the United States, but the whole world. Now, a lot of you are thinking, well, how are we going to create any kind of army, military? I mean, where are we going to get money? Well, Raul Castro has already told me, you ain't got to worry about anything. You see, all the years that we thought that they were out of touch with Russia, they've been in contact with Russia for a long time. They have a lot of stuff that the Russians have given them over the years. It's just that with the sanctions they have down there, it's been kind of like, oh, they're behind times. Like I kept telling everybody in the press conferences, they're behind times down there in Cuba, right? No, they weren't out of touch with reality. They had everything they needed. And the Russians gave it to Raul, they gave it to Fidel all those years. Well, now they're going to share it with me. This way I can create my own dictatorship. I've already got my own personal little republic We're not going to call it California anymore, by the way. We're not going to be known as anything even associated with the United States. We're going to call this now New Cuba. Yeah, the United States people, the government found out what we were going to name it. I don't know how they found out all this stuff, but it don't matter to me. We're here. We're going to do what we got to do. We're going to do what I kept telling you we're going to do. We're going to be totally free of any kind of regulation by government, by any force except my own force. And all of you have already said over and over again, we want it. We want it, Obama. That's how we want to live. We want to be under a dictatorship. We want under you. And this is one fact nobody even knows about. Chavez in Venezuela, we were very close friends. And sadly he's gone, but that doesn't mean that his endeavors are dead. I'm going to continue them right here in New Cuba. And with Raul Castro helping me and supporting my decisions and helping me financially with what I need, we got no problems. You're all going to be happy because that's one of the issues about dictatorship that I can do. I'm going to make you happy. And Michelle's going to be right next to me. So don't think you're going to be out there on the boondocks by yourselves. It's going to be you, me, and my whole family. And you know what? The Americans were so stupid to believe that I was leaving. I was leaving the White House. I was leaving Washington. Well, yeah, I did. But only in a physical sense. I'm very still prone. I'm very much still in control of this whole system. My system of socialism. Because Adolf Hitler failed in 1945 because he really didn't have who he really should have had. And who was that? His generals. All of the people. But the people themselves still stood by Adolf Hitler, didn't they? Even to the day he died. They were howling, "Heil Hitler, long may he reign." Well, I'm still here, and I'm now in pretty much my own chancellorship, just like Adolf Hitler got. I ain't saying much more to the American audience because I don't want them knowing all the facts about what's going to happen here. But I promise you that if I have ties to Cuba, I'm going to have ties to Russia. Know what that means? It means very soon, everything you knew is all going to change because America is not going to be there much longer. And that's all I'm saying on that subject. Now, in completion of this pre-statement, I wanted to make sure everybody understands one thing. We are a communist regime, and as long as we're right here next to America, I'd say those guys should be starting to think about putting their own wall up. Because if they don't, we might very likely just kind of ease right into all the other parts that used to be a part of this particular republic, right? And before you know it, ain't going to be no place safe. But I did a pretty good job, didn't I? For 8 years, I created the illusion that we were trying to help people. But really I was doing was just destroying the whole infrastructure of security. Now you've got all these people coming here from other countries, and what are they doing? They're destroying the United States within. Well, guess what? That was all my idea. And now it's working. Now we're going to start our next step. And that's all I'm saying on that subject. Because I'm not going to tell the United States government any more than that. I ain't telling nothing to Trump either. Trump's going to have to just figure it out on his own. So on behalf of myself and Michelle and my two children, I say this. We're now in the ball field. We're now on the path to our next great initiative, and that is to create world domination. We've got it already placed in the tracks of history. We're going to continue it until we finish. This is Barack Hussein Obama, your Chancellor, and on behalf of our nation, we say even to America, you better get your act together. Thank you.